Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Georgiman and I'm your friendly neighborhood anime and manga fan. I love all things anime and all things manga, and I'm here today to talk about Spice and Wolf episode 22. So why did I think about this week's episode? Honestly, I thought this week's episode was great. I thought it was once again establishing this new arc that we're following that has never been covered in, the previous anime adaptation. And I think up to this point in the story, I think that this arc has been doing a great job at, setting up the tension and the stakes and a lot of shocking plot twists. Because in this week's episode, there was a huge plot twist towards the end of the episode that I myself didn't see coming at all. That has huge implications for the rest of the story, which I'm very excited to see. Now, before I go any further with this week's episode, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder to make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you guys can be up to date with all my Spice and Wolf, as well as all my anime and manga content that I'll be providing in this channel. It really helps out a lot, and I would really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you guys could, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into this week's episode. So this week's episode starts off right where we left off last time, which is pretty much, Lawrence and Hollow being like, hey, let's try to figure this out. Let's see what this whole gossip's all about. And we see that pretty much they go to the church, they talk to the nun. I believe her name was Elsa. Could be wrong. I kind of forgot. But we see that they talk to the nun, and you see that she's like freaking out. And she's like, what are you guys doing here? It's like, oh, we're here to pray, for good wishing and all that. It's like, okay, come in. So they come in, she comes in, and it's like, okay, so we're in the church now. And can we pray here in front of like this statue of God and all that? It's like, yeah, go ahead. So she's praying. They're about to pray. It's like, so you're supposed to tell the truth, right? You're supposed to confess. That's what Lawrence is saying. It's like, yeah, you're supposed to confess about your sins and tell no lies. It's like, okay, well, I'm telling you a lie right now, which is I'm gonna confess now and say that we're using you. And all this time we came here to let you know that about the Abbey, which is that we know where it is. It's not about you know where the Abbey is as much as I know that the Abbey is here, the one that we're looking for. And obviously she gets all, shocked, like, what are you talking about? And then, Hollow just, kind of drops the cat out of the bag. She's like, listen, bro, we ain't got time to play. And she just shows her ears. And she's like, hey, listen to us. We're here. We have no time to, like, mess around. Tell us the truth. And what happens is she knocks out. She completely just, well, I can't even say the word. She completely faints. There you go. That's the word. She completely faints. And the next morning, Lawrence and Hollow wake her up. She's like, oh my God. So it wasn't a dream. It's like, yeah, no, sorry. But we're kind of in a hurry. We kind of got to get this information ready because we're trying to find out about Yuitsu and her origin. It's like, okay, I'll tell you what. You guys can go to the church, get the knowledge you want, but follow me. And what we see is that, they proceed to follow her. And we see that there's like this big statue, like a goddess. And this statue in particular has a very important role because this statue kind of is like the gateway to enter this hidden room, which is that pretty much you lift the statue and there's like a handle that lets you pull the handle, and there's a secret underground library kind of thing where all these pagan stories about, Father France and how he kept all these stories to himself. Yeah, they're all secrets, obviously. And we see that she's like, okay, well, you guys can go in there. And Lawrence is like, thank you so much. It's like, hey, bro, don't be so thankful. You kind of forced me into this. But regardless, Father France would have liked me to do this because that's the way that he lived. And Lawrence just compensates her by donating some coins, some silver shiny coins. It's like, here you go. Thank you for all your troubles. It's like, okay. And then we see that Lawrence is getting all these books. That a lot of books are heavy. And he's trying to get this knowledge. And as we see is that they get to the books out, and we see that pretty much Lawrence, goes to her place, and he's talking to her. Like, she's talking to him about like, hey, so like Father Fans, I got a question. He like believed in so many gods. So like, why did he, if he knew about all these pagan gods, does that not mean that our God is false? So therefore, why was he pretending to be a priest? Or pretty much what if I'm trying to paraphrase, she's asking like, what's the point of believing in our God if, all these other pagan gods do exist? It kind of, makes it so our God is, a fairy tale. So she's having a crossroads of fate. In other words, and we see that pretty much Lawrence is like, hey, we can talk about this some other time, but somebody's knocking at the door, you might want to take that. And it's Evan, and Lawrence goes back and pretty much meets up with Hollow back in the library. And you see that Hollow, she is how can I put this, she's trying to make a move on Lawrence in the sense that she's like, hey, I'm tired, put your arm around me. She's giving him like literally vocal cues about this whole thing. And it was hilarious. It was just funny because what we see is that as he puts his arm around her, very awkwardly, and as you hear someone knocking in and coming in, he's about to take it off, but Hollow's holding it in. holding his arm. And who is it? It's obviously Elsa. And she just looks at them. And this scene had me cracking up, where we see that he's like holding Hollow like this. And, you know, Elsa with her little candle, she's just like, okay, I'll come another time. And she just leaves. She leaves. And it's just a funny scene. It was just some funny, hilarious scene that just had me cracking up. Because you see even Hollow starts laughing. She's like, that was funny, wasn't it? And it's like, lady, you almost got us caught by the nun, okay? You can't be doing that. In God's house, we can't be doing this sinful things, you know? But this is just funny. And what happens is after that, they, you know, as Lawrence is trying to find some more knowledge about this whole bear and all this, like the bear that destroyed Yuitsu and all that, you know, he's reading this book. But before that, we see that they actually go to dinner with Evan, Elsa, and, you know, they're just eating it up. And we see that Evan is very excited to see Lawrence, you know, because he wants to hear all these tales about, you know, the outside world. And, you know, Lawrence starts telling him about like all these tales that about him as a merchant, and Evan's just infatuated about the whole thing. Eventually, you know, the night starts getting more late and late, and, you know, Lawrence is like, oh, okay, well, we gotta kind of leave now, you know, gotta go back to praying. And we see that Evan's like, okay, well, I'd love to hear more stories. Like, yeah, no problem. And we see that, you know, Lawrence talks to Elsa once again. It's like, hey, so like, do you still want to talk about like the whole thing about gods and what the meaning of all this is? And Elsa's kind of like, no, if I learn anything, it's more than Father fans would have wanted me to learn the answer for my own and for myself. So I'll learn it for myself. I don't need you to explain it to me. It's like, okay, fair enough. So, and we see that pretty much how the episode starts nearing its end, that Lawrence is reading these books. Hollow eventually falls asleep. And, you know, as Lawrence is talking throughout the night about the whole dinner that they had with Elsa and Evan, we see that pretty much he's like, you know, they get along so well. And then that really rubs Hollow the wrong way, because she's like, oh man, I know you're comparing us to them, and, you know, we're probably a mess compared to them. And it really hits her at her heartstrings. And, you know, she, you know, Hollow's like, and Lawrence is more like, clarifies the whole situation. It's like, no, it's not that I'm jealous about them. It's nothing like that. It's more of the likes of, you know, once I do take you to your place, you know, to your hometown, what then? Like, you know, I'm supposed to take you there, but after that, what's going to happen to us? Like, what is there? Because I'm still a merchant. You know, at my roots, I'm a merchant. So I still got to do my merching, like, job. So what's going to happen? And we see that Hollow starts thinking to herself, and, you know, it's a very hard question. And she proceeds to just lay on his lap. It's like, I'm just going to go to sleep. Like, and you see her, you know, she tells him, like, read the books, you know, figure it out from here. And it was a nice scene. You know, she just more closer character development between these two and their dynamics. So I liked seeing that. And we see that eventually, as Hollow falls asleep, Lawrence is reading these books. Eventually he finds something regarding the bear. And we see that it's something along the lines that Father France said anybody that would know more about it would be the Pope himself, about this bear. And pretty much they're getting to the truth of it. They're starting to get more and closer to the truth about this whole thing. And as that's happening, we see that Elsa comes into the room. It's like, hey, there's somebody, the elder folk are gathering people outside. You know, the elder of the village, you know, they're gathering up. Do you guys stay in the church? Go, like, I'll give you a blanket, go to sleep, and pretend you're just praying. And why not? Especially because Hollow's supposed to be a nun. So just kind of pray and act normal. So, okay. So they do that. They fall asleep. They're sleeping together. It's pretty cute. And how the episode ends is we see that pretty much the village marches into the church, and, you know, so it's like, what is the meaning of this? It's like, and we see the elder pretty much as Lawrence is like, hey, listen, if you guys want to step up with me, here's the thing, I'm part of a trading company and they know where I'm at, so if I go missing, they'll come for you guys. And he's like, no, listen, we don't want to do any of that. We don't want to harm you or anything. If anything, we just want to ask you questions, because apparently the wheat from us kills somebody in Emberg. Somebody from Emberg, the city that's have like a truce with them, somebody ate wheat from their own village, from the village that, you know, their Hollow and Lawrence are staying at, and that wheat killed somebody. So now there's a whole, you know, like, there's a whole mystery surrounding you know, a crime. You know, somebody died maliciously or by accident, whatever the case, somebody died because of that wheat, which is going to complicate the conflict between these two villages, towns, whatever. And I can't wait to see how this gets resolved, because now, you know, it might be like the destruction of this village for all we know, with the church and all that. And what's Lawrence going to do, what's Hollow going to do, what's, you know, the church going to do, I don't know, because like I said, I didn't read the light novel, so this is all new to me. But overall, I thought this week's episode was great, and I can't wait to see what happens in the next one. So with all that being said, what did you guys think about this week's episode? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was alright? Whatever you guys thought, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Spice and Wolf, as well as more anime and manga content in the near future. But yeah, with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.